Today, the day of the election, November 5th, 2024, I went up to the D.C. Superior Court and viewed a criminal trial. It was in room 201 with Judge Ramey Brandt, who I was told was a former AU student and professor. She got her PhD from AU, and I witnessed a portion of the hearing of case number 2023 FD1007671. In this case, the defendant was Devin Green Jr., and his attorney was Lee A. Smith, and he was charged with seven charges: assault with intent to kill while armed with knife, kidnapping while armed with knife, kidnapping while armed against a minor with knife, aggravated assault knowingly armed with knife, assault with a dangerous weapon, which was a knife, assault with significant bodily injury while armed with knife, and simple assault. The victim in this case was Cameron Porter, 27 years old. Both of these people involved in the case were DC residents, and Devin Green Jr. had stabbed her 21 times in their apartment due to being jealous over a phone call. And while I was there, I got to witness the testimony of the DFS officer, the Department of Forensic and Sciences, who testified that he found 2 knives on the property and a bloody pajama pants, which was taken from the victim. Not only did he give his testimonial, but he was also cross-examined, which I thought was very interesting to see in person. You know, you always see this on shows and whatnot, but we got to see many pictures of the evidence, as well as 2 knives and the bloody pants in person. They were exhibits added into evidence. One thing that I thought was very interesting that I actually hadn't seen before was the lawyers in the case and the judge talking what's called under the hood. So when they were discussing, say, the victim's medical records and other matters that they were working out before speaking to the public, they would broadcast like a loud staticky sound, so we couldn't hear, and they would all have headphones on, be able to talk to each other. I thought that was interesting just because I'd never seen that before. Now, I actually got very lucky going today because after the DFS officer had given his testimonial, the victim was called up to the stand, which I thought was interesting, just because I've always heard that it's not the best idea to have the victim put on stand, just because then they could be cross-examined, which I got to see part of. But in the beginning, the government basically had her tell her life story, got her, warm on the stand, didn't jump right into this alleged stabbing and the abuse. But after opening up, we learned that the victim had a son. And we kind of went through the history of the relationship between the victim and the defendant. The defendant and the victim were dating for 2 years before the incident occurred. And the victim had stated that it used to be good. It wasn't all bad all the time. But over time, he started to grow jealous, and there were 2 incidents of abuse before the stabbing occurred. One being what they called the Kool-Aid incident, where the defendant had choked the victim and poured Kool-Aid all over her in her new apartment. And the second was another incident of a choking. When one thing that I thought was interesting was that the victim was a little vague. She definitely seemed not too great on the stand. Seemed very timid, very shy, wasn't giving full answers, was kind of leaving things up in the air, and that led the prosecution to kind of almost guide her with the questions, which is not allowed to lead on. So there was a lot of objections called by the defense, a lot of talking under the hood. But as we went on a small break, came back, and we got the full story of what had happened in the stabbing. So apparently the victim had come back to her apartment with her boyfriend there, was on the phone with another male when the boyfriend came in the room, very angry, started packing all of his things, threatening to leave. When the victim had called her sister, saying that you need to come to the apartment, my boyfriend is getting violent. Sister, mom, stepdad, dad all came to the apartment and were banging on the door, and it freaked out the defendant. And the victim went and grabbed a knife to protect herself. And when the defendant saw that, he went and took the knife from her, stabbed her in the chest. Meanwhile, the child was in the apartment at the time. And while she was on the ground, he proceeded to stab her 20 more times. She was stabbed 21 times in total. Definitely a tragic scenario. All parties involved. When the cross-examination started, I'm really upset I didn't get to see the full cross-examination just because, like I said, the victim, God bless her soul, wasn't too great on the stand. And I was kind of waiting for the defense to try to go up and poke some holes in her story. And they were getting in the process of that, but at that point, I had been at the courtroom for 3 hours and had to start getting ready to get back for my wrestling practice. Let's see. Yeah, just like I said, the defense was poking holes in some things. There was some things left out in the previous assault, like the previous choking. It was said that the victim was actually pulling the defendant's hair before the choking had occurred. And the day of the stabbing, apparently she had bit the defendant on the leg before the actual stabbing occurred. So I think the defense is trying to work it into self-defense, trying to claim self-defense, because I think the biggest charge they're trying to dwindle down is the intent to kill charge. Some connections I made while going to this courtroom with the JLC-104 course is the murder hypotheticals that we've worked on a lot. First degree, second degree, involuntary manslaughter, all that. Just while there was no murder here that occurred, it was intent to kill, and if the victim would have died, I think it'd be placed into second degree. Act of passion wasn't premeditated, but I think it can be argued. Another connection was when we talked about the prosecutorial discretion. The prosecutors charged the man with 7 counts, 7 charges. And one last connection I made with the course was, short of a connection, I just thought it was very different from Judge Leibowitz's courtroom. While the court building was actually similar, this being a criminal trial just felt very different from what Judge Leibowitz described often occurred in his courtroom. He dealt with a lot of family cases, a lot of domestic cases, things like that. And while this is domestic, it is criminal due to stabbing. I would love to keep up with this case. Definitely something that's interesting and local to this area. And I'll attach a link to send the story when I submit this video. I guess that's all. I mean, there definitely was a lot of details, a lot of things I wrote down, but I don't want this video to be too long. And I know the video should be more about connecting with the course rather than describing what happened in the courtroom. So yeah, I'll just leave it with that. Those three connections. Thank you.